I'm going to be honest. I don't know what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about something. And yes, we'll preview some Heat Nuggets because that's coming in later. And Tony has an announcement. I kind of
Yes,
want to go to that first. What's the announcement? Let's just start
let's do
there.
it. All right, boys. After 4 long and hard COVID years,
This is going to be stupid.
it's finally happened. Uh, Prize Picks is now illegal in my state,
Oh,
and I opened an IRA. I am now a stock investor. I no longer invest in the stocks of players. I'm retired. I got a 3% match on my IRA. I'm
yes.
out. I'm out.
Yes, ma'am. You're an idiot.
It's unfair. It's unfair. My other app that I could use is Hard Rock. That's unfair. I made a smart choice.
You and I
So,
need to talk finances because I
so
got
to
into
be
some shit
clear,
as well recently.
though, I don't live in Florida, but it sounds like there will be a shift tomorrow in the app and what's offered. But Prize Picks will be around. It will just be a different type of game.
So
But
they got
I should plug Better Edge. It is legal in Florida. You can set your own line. Use the code 5RSN. Get yourself $20 from 5 Reasons Sports when you sign up. It is much, much, much better than the book that we will not name again because Tony mentioned it. But their lines, I know from being there over the holidays, their lines are garbage. And that's why they're trying to take everybody out because they don't want to have a marketplace. They want to have a one store. I control everything. I control the lines. So don't give in to that. Go to Better Edge. Check out Prize Picks as it relaunches.
And to be clear, Better Edge is still my exclusive football NFL season betting app. There's nothing I would rather use.
Welcome. The floor is yours. I'm
Basketball
here.
show.
I'm here. Tony's here. Sean's here. Timmy is not here. And we did not bother to get a fourth person because I think 3 is enough, as Eric Spoelstra / Ethan Skolnick would say. We're going to talk about a myriad of things. Tony and I are apparently going to talk about finances because I just dabbled into the money market fund game not too long ago. We could talk about that another time. Look, man, tax season, you got to do what you got to do. Don't forget to file your taxes. Okay. Before we get into Heat Nuggets, which is going to happen tonight, because we do this once a week, we figured since the Heat are playing at 10, the Nuggets championship rematch, both teams playing really, really well. We figured why not start it actually before leading up to that right now as the Warriors are pimp smacking the Knicks. So we are going to honestly just kick it around. There's a lot of interesting things going on in the NBA right now in general, standings, watch, whatever. We could look at this seriously. We could look at this unseriously, but we could play Floor's Mind right now. And I would ask Tony, because you had a Wembanyama topic that you wanted to get to. If you want to start with that, and then Sean, you could hit us with what has really stood out to you league-wide, and then I will throw in mine. People in the comments, you can contribute, and obviously we will end it with Heat Nuggets. So, Tony, tell us why Victor Wembanyama is already a top 30 player, in your opinion, which I'm not sure I'm on board with.
Yeah, it's hard to start to analyze where he is without projection. So to just take it at where he is right now is tough because of the minutes restriction and the alignment that the Spurs throw out there every night. That seems like it's single-handedly trying to sabotage him, and he's still recording 5x5s and 30-point games and scoring with incredible efficiency and doing things I've never seen before. So you have to start asking yourself, where does he fit in? Where does he fit in the top player group? You know, how good is he? Is he going to make an all NBA team as a rookie? I think he has a pretty strong case for it. If you don't want to say first team, I think he's got a pretty strong case for second team. He might not do it, but you get by players like Jason Tatum, you get by players like Jimmy Butler, which gets you into the 20s, and you start looking down the list and you go Bam Adebayo somewhere at 26, 27. You go Lauri Markkanen and you start asking yourself, do I think Victor Wembanyama right now is better than Lauri Markkanen? Do I think Victor Wembanyama right now is better than Jamal Murray? Do I think right now Victor Wembanyama is better than Brandon Ingram? And some of these questions, I think you can easily say no to. These players that have established and been here for a really, 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 really long time. But just at their current skill level, there's just a gap from what a lot of those players offer defensively. to what Victor can do offensively. He kind of closes that gap with his defensive ability. And then what he gives you on offense is pretty fucking good. And I think the coolest thing about him is that some of these guys that we'll mention in the top 30 are not engines. You can't give them the ball. They can't create. They require someone else to get them going. Victor will take the ball full court, full head of steam, and finish and dribble in half court setting. He'll do a whole bunch of stuff. He still needs a guard. I think that there's this idea that you just give him the ball and he can go. He can't. He needs a guard. But he has the ability to do those things. He can create off the bounce. He can create in transition. So I like this topic. I don't know if he's quite there yet, but when you look at the guys at 27, 28, 29, you look at the consensus list, you can start asking yourself, does he really fit in? And I think that means he's a top 40 player. If I could say he might be a top 30 player, he's definitely a top 40 player. And that's still fucking incredible, I think, for a kid his age on a minutes restriction.
Is Zion Williamson the last rookie that we would have probably said is a top 30, 40 player as a rookie when healthy? Or does it go back further than that? Sean?
Ja's somebody that popped into mind. I mean, Paolo was good last year. I would have put him top 30, 40. I think now he probably is, yes. But
yeah.
He's an all-star, so yeah.
Yeah, I would say Zion or Ja. I would say would be the two that fit that category. But, he's just so unique. And, you can see that obviously the Spurs have experimented all year. They're not really trying to compete, which I think long-term is the right way. But I think they're going to have to pivot too. Like you're seeing that not so much just about the All-Star game stuff, because I think that's somewhat irrelevant, but like Wemby wants to compete and win. He doesn't want to go out there and continue to just lose. And so I think that they're going to fast track, whether it's Trae Young, whether it's Tyler Hero, whether it's back to DeJounte Murray, whatever it is, they're going to shuffle around this summer. I think that they're going to move things. And I think obviously there's going to be guys that want to play with Wemby. So it's an attractive place, even though San Antonio isn't exactly the glamour place that you want to go. Obviously they have history there, but it's not a glamour city by any means in the NBA market.
I think he's really good. I have long-term health concerns, as I've said, but I'm not going to make it about that. I'll say this, though. One thing I do really like about him is that he is competitive as shit. Like, he was reportedly not thrilled about Anthony Edwards just sort of tanking the skills competition during All-Star weekend, where Anthony Edwards just shot left-handed and Victor Wembanyama was like, yo, winning is fun. Like, I'm not like Anthony Edwards is like, I'm here to have fun, and Victor Wembanyama was like, winning is fun. And I was like, I'm gonna end up liking this dude, aren't I? I feel like he's gonna be here for a good time, not a long time, but I think while he's healthy, and he was healthy this year, which that's a win. And that's another reason, Tony, that I feel like they need a guard is so that he doesn't eat up 30, 34 usage and things like that, right? Yeah. Like I think you don't want to overutilize him, especially even now. Like this year, he's been on a minutes restriction for a lot of the season, and he's somebody that you're gonna have to limit in spots just because of the body type long term. So I think he needs help for those reasons as well, not even just for basketball reasons, but also if you want to extend however long his career is going to be, and hopefully it is a long one, because it could be a lot of fun, because he does some shit that's ridiculous. He blocked somebody the other day, but not even jumping. Did it from behind like he was fucking Kenny George at UNC Asheville back in the day. Like, I think Wemby...
Perfect next to Bam. Kenny George is a monster.
Oh man, Kenny George. If you were not outside for Kenny George, then I don't know what to tell you. That was a time in the early YouTube era. Shout out College Hoops 2K8. Yeah, I think Victor Wembanyama could be really, really good, really fun, but you gotta get him some pieces so that he's not doing all the work, because that's the quickest way to really give him some wear and tear injuries. And yes, I agree with Jose Matos. He needs to get bigger as well. Sean, what has stood out to you so far in the NBA over the last week or so?
Yeah, I think we're getting to that point. Obviously, tomorrow is March 1st. Jimmy let us know that it's time. The Miami Heat are surging. We'll talk about them later, but I think you're seeing the divide in the league at this point. You're seeing the push by some teams. Obviously, the Boston Celtics right now are super hot. They've won 9 in a row. If you listen closely, you can also hear teams, the 1, 2, 3 Cancun. Like right now, I don't know if this is a bold statement or not, but the Washington Wizards are the worst team in the league, not the Detroit Pistons. The Detroit Pistons are still playing hard. Like they're a good team. If you like to partake in gambling, they will cover some games because they're competing. The Washington Wizards are not. The Washington Wizards are done. I don't know what's the guy's name they called up from the JV, but he is not going to be the full-time coach. The Charlotte Hornets, they compete a little bit. They are 1, 2, 3 Cancooning. The Nets obviously are just awful.
They don't have a choice.
You're seeing teams that are clearly, there are basically 10 teams in each conference that are competing for the playoffs. And now it's just figuring out where they're going to land in those last 25, 30 games. So it's going to be a fun, I think there's a lot of teams that can compete. I don't know if there's a lot of teams that can win the championship, but I think it's going to be an exciting playoffs just because of the parity around the league.
Tony, what do you got for that?
I think that it's cool watching it play out. Where the pieces fall is interesting. You had guys early in the season, like, let's see, Phoenix. Who's another one? Indiana was high in differential and points per 100 and all that good stuff. And now they've fallen right on down, bottom of the pack, right next to the Miamis, the Lakers, of the world. And you're seeing it kind of find balance. Oklahoma City, Minnesota, who I was really bullish on very early in the season. Denver coming back into the top 4 in differential, 9th in offense, and then 8th in defense, figuring that part of the basketball court out. Milwaukee fumbling themselves down like we knew they would. And the middle of the pack coming in strong in the back half of the year and rising up the ranks, Golden State, LA, Miami. The teams that the continuity and the old guys that are getting it together towards the back end. Every year we repeat these patterns. And it's fun to watch the cycles play out and watch people get shocked and shook. What do you mean the young team in Indiana can't figure out a way to win crucial games? It's what happens. This is how it plays. It's what makes Cleveland so impressive because they actually do manage to win basketball games. Playoff games, not so much, but regular seasons.
Speaking of repeating patterns, remember when weeks ago everyone was saying that the Clippers are probably going to win the championship? They are 3-5 over the last 8, and they're starting to get a little bit banged up. Who could have seen that coming? I said weeks ago, like, I don't know why we're handing over the Western Conference to the Clippers or Minnesota or Oklahoma City or whomever else other than Denver, and I wouldn't even hand it to them yet, but you guys get what I'm saying. Like, Denver's earned a level of trust based on not just what they did last year, but they actually had a couple playoff runs when healthy, at least with Jamal Murray healthy. Before that, they went to the Western Conference Finals in the bubble playoffs, which proved out to be legitimate, as did, pretty much everything else that happened in the bubble, because we saw what happened after that. Now, I don't think the Clippers are a bad team at all, but as always, this sort of happens in January, February, where we get way too quick to crown teams. There was a push earlier this year for the Pacers to be something that I don't think they are. The Knicks are pretty banged up, and they're losing again tonight, and quietly, very quietly, they can miss out on home court advantage. One of the reasons why we'll get to later. Philadelphia may slide into the play-in, and I think when we have this tendency to act like we know a bunch of different things in February, and the Clippers one just really struck a chord with me. Minnesota too, to some degree, but really with the Clippers, because I'm like, listen, we know what this is. Like, they're really good in the regular season. James Harden, there's conversations about, hey, he doesn't need to do what he's been expected to do in the playoffs because he has Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. And it's like, are you sure they're going to be there? And are you sure they're going to be healthy during these playoff runs? And on top of that, James Harden does need to be, they're acting like he doesn't need to be good in the playoffs. James Harden does need to be good in the playoffs for them to still win a championship. Like, it's not like he can disappear and they could just get away with it. This team is good. Would you call them a deep team? Like a really deep team? I don't know if I would do that. And Russell Westbrook's had some bad games lately. Kawhi Leonard, I trust that dude. I don't trust his knees. And Paul George is hurt right now. So right now, to me, just in the Western Conference, Denver is probably the only team I'd really fear. Everything else is just a fucking mess. Oklahoma City's fun. They're young. They need to get their ass whooped. I do not trust Minnesota at all to get to like the finals. The Clippers, we'll see. Phoenix, the Lakers, like it's to me, it's Denver's just gonna fucking beat all of these teams if they're healthy. That's just where I'm at.
I agree, especially on the bottom half. There's if you tune into a certain network, you're going to be led to believe that the Warriors, who are up 10 right now into the third quarter against the Knicks, started off 10-0. The Warriors are back. They're a good team. They're going to be a tough out. They're a veteran team. Same thing with the Lakers. Last night, way past my bedtime, but I heard that LeBron went crazy and they came back.
He went fucking ballistic. I'm mad that I only played him over 1.5 threes. He got 7.
Why do people still keep having moments with Ty Lue? Do you notice that LeBron had a step around Ty Lue moment? What's up with that?
It's his role in life, I think. I don't know. But like those teams are going to be exciting to watch. I think in the play-in, they're going to be exciting and have moments in a first-round series. I do not think that either of them, regardless of matchup, is going to get past the first round. I don't care who they play. I know there's experience, but I just don't think, if healthy, Minnesota, Oklahoma City, the Clippers, the teams at the top, I would be much more worried about like the Mavericks than I would about Golden State, Lakers, etc.
One of the best things about the Western Conference, and I want to get your thoughts on this, Tony, before we actually get to our Heat Nuggets stuff. One of the best things about the Western Conference, really the NBA as a whole, that I've enjoyed over the last few years, and that teams like the Heat, for example, have kind of exposed better than other teams, is that there are no juggernauts anymore. There's just not. There are really good teams. The NBA is a collection of really good teams. Each and every one of them are flawed. From the Celtics all the way down to whoever you think the last really good team is. Sean mentioned Dallas. I actually think Dallas can make a serious run again to the Western Conference Finals. Like I think that team with Luka Doncic, if Kyrie Irving is healthy, they need to figure out like what the minutes distribution is for that center position. They're just platooning Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford. Daniel Gafford barely played the other night, but I think Dallas is a team that could actually make a real run. And because they have Luka Doncic, they could beat some of these other teams we've been talking about. Like, I don't think Phoenix wants to see them dudes in the playoffs at all. I don't think anybody, maybe Denver, but I don't think anybody wants to see Dallas in the playoffs, for example. So, Tony, where are you at? Because I think the reason I'm probably lower on the Clippers than most, I've explained that. But I think the larger overall point is like, we can't keep crowning teams so prematurely if they haven't done anything, because there are no juggernauts anymore in the NBA, and that's just where we are, unless they've done it already.
I think the other thing that the Heat prove is that when it comes to playoff success, there's variables that bring things up and down, right? But continuity and shooting just unilaterally are some of the most important things during teams' playoff run. And the reason I think Dallas eventually does have a ceiling is they don't know what they're going to try and do defensively subconsciously yet. And that's the thing that the Nuggets have down. Like, I don't know how to tell people this because the win-loss rating isn't as good, but the Nuggets are a better team this year. They're better. They're better because they can actually fucking defend. And they can do it in a lot of different ways. And
they did last year too, though, Tony. They had like a top 10 defense for the last few months of the year. And that's, people forget, like, they think, oh, defense doesn't matter anymore. And it's like, no, you still need to have really good defense to win a title. Denver had a really good defense late in the year.
You have to be a top 10 defense. Yeah, or you have to at least be league average. I think there's one exception to that in like the last 10 years, but top 10 net defense is almost a prerequisite. And the talk on Denver last year, just bring Jokic to the level of the screen. I heard that probably 70 fucking times every day during the playoffs. Bring Jokic to the level of the screen. And they prove to you he can, they just manipulate the defense, or he can get to that position and recover in a pretty good way to a man that doesn't put them at a disadvantage. Like, that team is playing together on a string. Dudes like KCP are pushing them to be even better than they were before. The defense is getting better. Christian Braun's finally starting to show up and play basketball. We'll see if that leads into the playoffs. But yeah, Minnesota doesn't know each other well enough. Dallas doesn't know each other well enough. And the rest of the teams in the West, OKC, I don't think has, I don't think they've suffered enough. I don't think OKC
that's real. That's real.
knows what it's going to take to pull something away from the Clippers, to pull something away from Denver, to pull something away from like these squads who've been going at this for a while, even Golden State. They know what they want to get to. They know what they want to do at a certain level. The X's and O's fade away, and it's just about execution. And some teams just execute better than others. But you throw a wrench. OKC's a wrench in the whole fucking thing. Minnesota's a wrench in the whole thing if they can figure out what they want to do on offense. It's competitive as hell. I think that's the one thing in your monologue I want to throw in that wasn't there. That every single series in the West is going to be a fucking dogfight, unless somebody's just too young and they're not ready for the moment. It's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be fun basketball.
And there are teams who you worry about their fourth quarter offense, Minnesota included. Minnesota's fourth quarter offense.
Why stop at the fourth quarter? Just go ahead and say all three. What's wrong with you?
Listen, they're going to give Rudy Gobert Defensive Player of the Year, and then I'm going to watch him.
I'm going to tell you,
whooped in the playoffs one more time.
I think this is a Stephen Jones take. Okay, I think this is Steve Jones take. I've put this out there.
Stephen Jones, I'll listen.
It's all on Rudy. You know, the Minnesota Timberwolves' success in the playoffs is all on Rudy.
All on Rudy? Oh, if it's all on Rudy, then
and I agree. That's why I think they have a ceiling. But if Rudy is in a place where he's willing to attack the mismatch, because they're going to generate mismatches with him, if he'll attack offensively, they've got it. There's nothing that can stop them in the end of the fourth quarters. And I just don't know. And he's doing it now. Will he do it in the playoffs? I don't know.
You want to guess? This is actually like, I could not believe this stat when I saw it. You want to guess who's the worst team in the NBA against the spread with the rest disadvantage?
That's so many prerequisites.
I'm going to say it again.
Worst team against the spread with the rest.
Worst team against the spread with the rest disadvantage in the NBA.
Is it a playoff team or a non-playoff team?
They're a team we just talked about. They're a team we're about to talk about. And they're the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
They haven't been great against
Heat.
They haven't been great. Oh, wow. They haven't been great against the spread this year. 2-6. With the rest disadvantage, which they have today against the Miami Heat, tonight against the Miami Heat. Atlanta's also tied with them, 4 for 12. They've been in that position more often, but
fourth time on this trip that we're getting someone on the second night of a back-to-back. And it's the four toughest teams we played on this trip. The two easiest teams were when we were on the second night of a back-to-back. So not that it discounts anything. The Heat are playing really good basketball right now, but that has to be part of the calculus, and we know that the schedule opens up really easily the rest of the way. And I think sometimes we get too caught up in that, like ease of schedule, because we know shit happens. But it's there in front of Miami if they want it. They are closing in on teams that are right above them. The Knicks, obviously, right now a game and a half up with right now losing, so that going into the game they're probably a game behind them, so they could win tonight in Denver and be a half game behind, if I'm doing my math correctly. So damn, that blown game in November, Thanksgiving weekend in New York, that's going to be hopefully not something they look back on, because I was there, and that's going to hurt. You can be up on them right now.
I don't think this iteration of the team we've been seeing is blowing that same game. We'll get into Heat Nuggets right now. I was like Sean, like Greg, like others, was pretty much out on this team 3 weeks ago. I was like, man, it just looked too lost or whatever. Didn't look like they were gonna make a run. And as soon as that happened, they won 9 of 11. They won like 6 straight road games or whatever it is. And this is why I respect this organization so much, just as a league observer. Um, like it's not even the you count them out and then whatever. It's just like really when you least expect it, it's just it's there all of a sudden. And you started to see it a little bit before the All-Star break when Jimmy Butler started playing really well, and then it felt like others followed suit, and then he had to step away because of the family issue that he had to take care of. That hopefully he did, make peace with. Now he's back and he's ridiculous again. He's playing at an All NBA level. Denver, by the way, 7-4 this season straight up with no rest. 4-7 against the spread though with no rest this year. I thought I'd throw that in there. Not great.
Oh, that's not good news.
I think this is a house money game for the Heat to me. One that I think they could win. And look, there are sharp bettors who are betting Heat +5, Heat +5, Heat +5.5, Heat +5.5, Heat +6. Right now it's on 6 in that range. JD 2000 gives us starters. No surprises here. Terry Rozier, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, Nikola Jovic, Bam Adebayo. It's probably who I would start the rest of the season, if I'm being honest. Probably not a discussion we need to get into right now. I don't think Tony would agree with that. That's probably what I would do, though. I think that's just where we're at. Tyler Hero is not playing tonight. Neither is Josh Richardson. Neither is Thomas Bryant. Obviously, Drew Smith. And Denver's missing nobody except, I think, Vlatko Konchar. So they have a clean injury report.
Kevin Love also out tonight.
And Kevin Love is also out tonight.
Oh, we're going to lose by 10.
The over-under is really low, by the way. 214. It was 212 earlier. And the Heat, lot of unders in this situation. Rest advantage, road games, road underdog, a lot of unders. And some of that is struggling offense. I think lately it's been great defense. They've been elite defensively in the month of February. And as Sean mentioned, third easiest schedule out of the All-Star break. As soon as the All-Star break ended, they had a third easiest schedule the rest of the way. Orlando had the easiest, which is going to be interesting because of the standings. So, Sean, let's go to you here. Let's preview this game. What are the things you're going to be watching for other than the result of the closest?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I think, looking at the starters, I'll put them back up on the screen again. I would assume you go Rozier on Murray. And I think that's a tough matchup. Hopefully Terry can, because we know that Murray can be tough. Me and Brian were talking pregame. I think based on what a lot of people are betting, I think that there's probably a minutes restriction on Murray, who a lot of people are trending him under and Reggie Jackson over. So we may see a little bit more Reggie Jackson than maybe some people are expecting. And the way that the Heat are defending Murray also, I think that they're going to throw a lot of attention on him. Nikola Jovic you can't stop him. I mean, you just want to make him work. And I mentioned that this morning when I put my keys. I think,
Jokic or Jovic?
Jokic.
Okay.
Sorry. Jokic, the Joker.
Maybe we'll say that about Jovic one day. Maybe.
Joker, we need Bam to be able to defend him without having to bring a lot of help, because Joker will pick you apart. I do not like them playing zone. I think Joker gets to the nail that he's going to find gaps in the zone. He'll pick you apart from there too. So I'm worried about Joker more so than Murray, because I think with DeLon, with Terry, with Caleb, with Haywood, I don't really like on him. I think I like him on bigger guys, but they have guys to throw at Murray. I think you can hide Duncan and Nikola Jovic on MPJ and KCP. And then that obviously leaves Jimmy with Aaron Gordon. But we know what Denver does very well is they're going to force you into mismatches. They're going to force you into switches, and then Aaron Gordon can punish you, or MPJ can try to punish you. I don't concern myself with him as much. I think it's really about, one, Miami has to take care of the basketball. Denver's not a team that forces a lot of turnovers. They got to be able to rebound the ball to not give them second chances. And they have to have ball movement, player movement. The thing that we've seen when guys are out is that there's a lot of movement. And it's, some people want to make it a Tyler Hero thing. I just think it's good basketball. When they play that way, they're tougher to guard. It forces the defense to defend multiple actions. Everyone is involved, so you have multiple people having to defend. And, Denver is a top 10 defense, but if you can make them work, I think you can find advantages there. So I think it's a game, like you said, I think, Miami has a puncher's chance, but they can't get down early. They need to compete and or take the lead right off the gate, get-go.
Tony, where are you at with this game? And then after Tony talks, we are going to throw up a bunch of your comments, so keep them coming. The donations get read first.
They got handed a pretty swift defeat in the final. Sean covered analysis, and I think I'm just going to cover the emotional part. You got to probably play this team. If a magical run happens and you get back to the finals again, if you can do it again, you're going to have to go through Denver. I think most of us agree with that. You can't just let them have the mental edge every single time you go up against them. It's important to have something in your back pocket to say we can beat this team if we go to these things and truly, truly believe it. When the Heat were able to get a victory against the Nuggets, they, like Sean said, kept the actions in front of them. They kept Aaron Gordon from going behind them at the baseline and getting to the cup. They played like that like morphic zone thing, but it really covered like man. It was hedge and recover, and it was show, but don't stay and get back. But it kept everything in front of them. It slowed Denver down, and you were able to outpace them and outgrind them at the end. That was the one game they got. So Sean's right. I think you got to play man and just really. And if you do run some type of zone or trap ball handlers up top, it's got to be show and recover fast and get back to your man. I think switching is a death sentence, and I think zone's a death sentence. And this team trying to find a way to get this win on their second night of a back-to-back and get the mental edge in the regular season to carry that into the playoffs if you ever do meet them. So you're not fighting out of a 2-1 hole in a playoff series with Denver. Already walking into it that you can get a win if you do the things that you need to do to get it going. That'd be nice to see. I see a lot of people in chat talking about the threes need to land. Against this squad, I think you can, like Sean said, you can pick. If you can get them moving left and right, there's advantages that you can create at the rim for Jimmy Butler, for Bam Adebayo. They're mismatch hunty too. I don't know what defender sees MPJ on defense and thinks, oh shit, I'm fucked. I just don't think that exists. I think most people would think that's food. So, let's hope that we get something going at the rim tonight too, because we're going to need it.
Okay, let's throw up some questions.
Just going to get it on the record. The Knicks are going to win this game. Bing bong, man. To everyone that celebrates Bing Bong.
Did you bet them live?
No, I don't. I don't try to bet live during this show because I'm committed as a producer to excellence. Ethan Skolnick expects nothing less of me. So, all right, let's get some comments. If you want to throw any more up there and they're good, we'll go to those. But I have a couple that I starred. X Factor, talking about tonight's game. Let's go an X Factor for the Heat and an X Factor for the Denver Nuggets. Tony.
Nikola Jovic. Nikola Jovic. 6'10", Nikola Jovic. He can play big minutes tonight. I mean, we need his size. We need his length. And I think if he's able to space the floor and just keep that defense spread out and then turn around to be a big body on defense, there's a chance we could really use that size. So if something's going to lead the Heat to victories tonight, I think it's going to be his play.
Okay.
I want to say DeLon Wright for the Heat. Jovic probably would have been where I've gone. I want to say DeLon Wright for the Heat.
I love that guy, by the way.
He is such a Heat player. He's such a me player. Like, I love the way he plays defense. I think he will see Jamal Murray tonight, and that's going to be an important stretch. I think that's something you have to give a look for, like a whole stint to see how it is. For Denver, I think it's Peyton Watson, not somebody that they relied on in the finals last year. Peyton Watson is he's coming into his own. He's going to be a dangerous player once he continues to develop, or as he develops, I should say. And he could be the quote unquote random scrub heat killer, except I don't think he's a scrub at all. I think he could be really good.
By the way, DeLon has adopted my Highsmith agenda. It was never actually Highsmith. It was DeLon the whole time.
DeLon at the 4.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked a lot about how the Heat will defend the Nuggets. We didn't really talk about the opposite way. We know from the finals, and I think you'll see this again tonight, they kind of lived with Bam trying to beat them from the mid-range. You remember Bam got a lot of uncontested middies. He's been shooting them pretty well for the last 8 days. Prior to that, he was colder than Antarctic winter. So I think Bam is kind of an X factor because obviously his defense on Jokic, and his offense is going to be important. I think Jimmy is going to have he's going to have a tough go. Like Brian said, Peyton Watson, you have Aaron Gordon, you have length that you can throw at him. So I think that Bam is going to have a good game tonight in order for them to have success, because it's going to be tough sledding, I think, for Jimmy.
Yeah, I don't. But the thing is, I think he's gonna get 12 free throws. I think it's gonna be one of these games. I actually wanted to get this question. Stex says, "Hello, guys from Serbia. Nikola is going to be better than the other Nikola." Stex, I want to go to Serbia. I legitimately actually want to visit Serbia and watch basketball out there. Please tell me that it's dope. So I can try to do some convincing where I live at. Serbia looks cool from here. Anyway, I think Jimmy's gonna have 12, 14. I think he's gonna have a lot of free throws this game. That's one of those I think that's how he gets it done today. I think also you could find him mismatches. If you can get Jamal Murray on him, they were able to do some of that in the finals. I think it's fine. And listen, he was cooking Herb Jones and other reasonably good defenders. I think he can get his against Aaron Gordon.
I think
by the way,
I think we both have that, Brian, assist for Jimmy. But I think overall his game is going to be he's going to have a good game. He's going to have to work for it.
Yeah.
And if teams keep bringing it, the Nuggets, like the last 2 teams we played, although I feel like it's a different level of competition here, are going to keep bringing 2 to the ball and Duncan Robinson on that DHO action. The Heat are going to have a lot of opportunities to punish at the rim. Bam specifically.
We got Duncan being the X factor. Somebody says.
Jose Matos brought up the Suns when we were talking about the West. What do you think with them? We kind of hit on them a little bit. Obviously, injuries are a concern. Bradley Beal can't stay healthy. We dodged that bullet. I know the price was very cheap. A lot of Heat fans wanted him. It's the same old, same old. You pay Bradley Beal to rehab. He is like a senior citizen that goes off to the YMCA. He does his water cardio. He's out there with the weights in the water, and then he comes back in. He has a snack. He ain't playing. So he is not a guy. Maybe he gets healthy. Maybe this is good for him because they can tread water and then they can get out there in the playoffs. But I don't trust them whatsoever, even though they have KD and Book.
Yeah, I think the Suns. I need to get to this comment. Please keep it up. I think the Suns are Grayson Allen's their 4th best player, bro. That's a tough one for me.
You can't defend. You're not going to make it.
Yeah, I think
corner 3 Bowl.
I think they can win a series, maybe 2 on talent, but man, given where they're going to be in the standings, maybe 2, but I doubt it. I wouldn't pick it. Given where they're going to be in the standings,
I'm a hater.
They're just going to be. I'm a hater also. Actually, no, I'm not a hater. I'm just not as easily impressed.
Where's KD going to play next year after they lose in the second round or first round?
Better
whoever beats
the Boston Celtics.
I think Golden State's gonna finish this one out, by the way. All right, Stex says Belgrade is like mini New York. You're talking to a New Yorker, bro. Let's go. Great food, nightlife, and amazing basketball. You need to come. Yeah, I want to go to Serbia. I'm not even joking. I want to watch a Serbian league basketball out there. You know what I mean? Maybe Belgrade. You know what I'm saying? See the Red Star. JD 2000 says, so y'all expecting some Lando minutes tonight? ? How many? Lando's Orlando Robinson.
Oh, I was so confused.
Yeah, this is not a F1 reference.
No.
Well, here's the thing. Even though if you can go positionless, you throw Lando out there to match size, he can't compete with Nico anyways. So You could try to go small and spread them out. I just don't know. What do you have options, but that's where I mentioned Bam as my X factor. I think he's got to be out there for a lot of minutes tonight, and he has to play well, and or you get Joker in foul trouble, and he's not on the floor a lot. But it's not ideal.
Stacks is telling me I need to see Partisan. He says, fuck Red Star. Okay, cool. I can see them play against each other, Stacks. That would be good, you know? See against them. I follow international basketball, so I'm a little bit more up on this than the casual person. If you followed my FIBA World Cup coverage, and there will be Olympic stuff coming forward. Arthur Jam says, do we see DeLon on Murray at any point? I say yes. Tony.
Yeah, because they're going to try and switch. I know they are.
Listen, DeLon and Terry, somebody in the comments was saying that they don't like that backcourt. I think that,
man, I love it.
I want to see that.
I love it. But this is my new Haywood Highsmith take, and every content creator has to have a bullshit take that they want to get to. I just want to win basketball games. I don't give a fuck who's out there playing. I just want to win. But if I have a bullshit take, Terry or Tyler have to go to the bench. They just do, because DeLon's that explosive on defense, and I don't think he needs the ball. And that's what I thought Haywood Highsmith was going to be. A guy that doesn't need the ball, they can shoot it, and they can defend. DeLon's that guy. Give him to me. I thought Victor Oladipo would be that guy, and what did I like?
He's wearing the same number, I believe. Man, I DeLon Wright, I don't think is going to start, but if Spo did that, you could talk me into that being a good lineup. Let's get a couple more on the way out so we could actually watch this game. Arlene VP comments, threes and defense can win the game tonight. Yeah, I would say for a Spo team, that's the case on most nights, but I think it's going to be close. And so do a lot of other people who are putting money on this game tonight.
Are his brothers going to be there tonight?
The Jokic brothers? I don't know.
Do they still come to games, or did they ban them finally?
They might be in Serbia,
What do you think Thomas Bryant does after he gets his ring? Like, does he go to dinner? Does he catch a movie? Does he watch a game at the hotel? He sit on the plane and wait for them? What does Thomas Bryant do during the time where he has to leave the arena after he gets his ring?
He accepts his player option and collects his money after the season.
Jesus Christ.
Might as well get this out of the way. Hey, guys, I'm coming back. First time in his career, he's played 2 seasons in the same place.
I like Thomas Bryant, man. He's great. Here's why, though. You can tell. He's a great locker room guy.
Yes.
He is. You absolutely know. And he could play a little bit, Lenny Pena. Do you guys think Tyler will get benched for Duncan at some point? Oh, this will probably be the last question, because
let's close with this one.
Yeah,
I think they played Duncan it completely independent of Tyler, like always. Except for that one time when neither one of them hit a shot before the trade deadline. They're subbing out Caleb, or they're subbing out Terry, or they're subbing like that. I don't think Tyler and Duncan have as much 1-2 as people think they do.
I think Tyler's gonna, to Tony's point, I think Tyler's gonna have a longer leash than maybe some people think he should until the playoffs. If he struggles in the playoffs, I think Spo will be like a little bit more, because we actually saw it during the run that they had a couple years ago, where Tyler had his minutes cut in some instances, where like they use Victor Oladipo for defense, or they went in a different direction here. Like
dark ages.
They have enough minutes now to pass around. Like you can close with Terry, DeLon, Jimmy, Bam, and Caleb. You know what I mean? Like you have 8 or so closing options that Tyler doesn't need to be there every night if he's struggling. If Tyler's hooping, then he's hooping, right? But I think in the playoffs, this is more of a conversation. I think in the regular season, Tony's right.
But I think that's the beauty of the roster right now. You have probably 10 guys that you can throw out there that you can trust to close games in the playoffs. I would say almost anyone besides Orlando Robinson. Drew Smith, obviously, he's hurt. Who else? Cole Swider. Everyone else, I feel comfortable putting out there, given situation, if they're playing well. And there's a few guys that are protected that, like, they're going to be in the rotation regardless. But I think you're going to see times where if Duncan's on, his minutes go up and other people's minutes go down, whether it's Tyler, whether it's DeLon Wright, whether it's Caleb, whomever. There's going to be times where Caleb plays more. There's going to be times where Haywood plays more. There's going to be time. I mean, there's just so many minutes. And I really think the only ones that won't be as variable are Bam and Love, because you only have those two guys that can play the quote unquote 5 and have that big guy minute. So like, Bam probably plays 36, 38, 40 minutes in a playoff game. Kevin Love fills in the gap of whatever, 8, 10, 12. And the rest of the minutes are subject to whoever is playing. And that's a beautiful thing to arm Spo with, because he can go so many different routes, offensively, defensively, switch, zone, shooting, attacking. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing as a coach to see that.
Yeah, like you can end games with Duncan, DeLon, Jimmy, Love, and Bam. You can end games with Tyler, Terry, Duncan, Jimmy, and Bam. Like there's a lot of different ways you can go about this.
It's the best roster they've had in the Jimmy era.
This is the deepest roster, that they've had. I was looking through the 2019-20 team recently, and I was like, man, it was a lot of Kendrick Nunn that I forgot about. Boy.
You forgot? I never forgot. I never forgave.
He's not playing as well in Greece as you would have thought, is what I would say. It was a lot of Kendrick Nunn. It was a lot of Myers Leonard. Guys who would not be getting playing time on this team. You know what I mean? Like, every guard in their rotation is probably better than Kendrick Nunn. Finally giving the chef in the kitchen good ingredients to cook. All right, we'll leave it there. We'll be back next week. And enjoy the game. I think it's going to be a fun one.
The Heat.